What would you do if on the night before your wedding, you uncovered a betrayal so deep it shattered everything you believed in? Imagine discovering the two people you trusted most, your fiancé and your father, sharing a secret that no one was meant to know. For Nathan Wells, this nightmare became reality just hours before he was to say, "I do." But instead of crumbling, Nathan chose a path few would dare to walk. He planned a public revelation that would shake everyone to their core. Stay with us as we unravel a story of trust, broken revenge, meticulously crafted, and a journey toward healing that will leave you breathless. Don't look away. What happens next will challenge everything you think you know about love, loyalty, and forgiveness. Nathan Wells had always believed that trust was the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship, the invisible thread that holds lives together. At 33, his life in Portland seemed like the perfect picture. A senior project manager at a leading tech firm, a sleek condo in Nob Hill with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline, and a fiancée he adored. To Nathan, stability wasn't just comfort. It was the quiet assurance that no matter what storms came, the foundation beneath him would hold firm. He had met Olivia Grant 3 years earlier at a summer barbecue in the bustling Alberta Arts District. She was laughing under the warm Portland sun, her blonde hair catching light like spun gold. Olivia was sharp-witted with a mischievous smile and a passion for life that drew Nathan in immediately. Their connection was instant, filled with long conversations over coffee at cozy cafes and spirited debates about everything from indie films to the best pizza joints in town. He championed a little-known place on Mississippi Avenue, while Olivia swore by a hole in the wall on Hawthorne Boulevard. Nathan introduced Olivia to his parents, Stephen and Margaret Wells, with a heart full of hope. Stephen was a towering presence in Portland's real estate scene, respected, accomplished, a man who commanded attention, not through force, but through integrity. Yet to Nathan, his father was more than a business titan. He was his mentor, the man who taught him to meet life head-on with honesty and loyalty. Margaret, with her soft laugh and the steady hands, was the bedrock of the Wells family, the keeper of memories and the warmth in every gathering. The night Olivia met Stephen was at the Cedar Room, a restaurant known for its rustic charm and handcrafted cocktails. Stephen greeted her with genuine interest, asking about her role in a boutique marketing agency downtown, and the conversation quickly warmed with shared laughter and mutual respect. Nathan watched quietly, pride swelling in his chest as Olivia and his father found easy camaraderie in their shared love of classic jazz and real estate investing. Nathan and Olivia's wedding was set for early October at St. Mark's Cathedral, a historic church with soaring stained glass windows and centuries-old stone walls. The reception was booked at the Oregon Historical Society Museum, promising an evening of elegance and celebration. Nathan had spent months planning every detail, from the string quartet playing Sinatra classics to a carefully curated menu featuring locally sourced ingredients. His best man, Aaron Clark, a friend since college, was by his side, and Olivia's sister, Hannah, was the maid of honor. The rehearsal dinner at the Sentinel Hotel had been flawless, and Nathan felt a thrill at the thought of starting this new chapter. But beneath the polished surface of celebration, the night before the wedding would crack the very foundation Nathan had built. Stephen had insisted they share a final evening together, just father and son, at the Sentinel, a tradition he claimed symbolized the passing of wisdom and support. Nathan was eager for the moment, seeing it as a chance to bond and savor calm before the whirlwind. They settled into adjoining suites, each adorned with soft lighting and tasteful decor. The city lights of Portland twinkled through the windows, casting a peaceful glow. Dinner was quiet but warm, steak, roasted vegetables, and a bottle of aged Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. They joked about the seating arrangements, teasing Margaret's subtle matchmaking at the table, and discussing plans for the honeymoon on the Hawaiian island of Kauai. Nathan felt a rare serenity. This was the memory he wanted to carry with him into marriage, laughter shared with the two most important people in his life. Then, as Stephen excused himself to the bathroom, Nathan's attention was caught by his father's phone resting unattended on the table. He wasn't one to invade privacy, but a soft vibration lit the screen, revealing a message preview. His eyes caught a line that stopped his heart. "Thank you for an unforgettable night. Your touch still lingers in my mind. Can't wait to do it again." Oh, his pulse quickened as he saw the sender's name, Olivia Grant. Confusion turned to disbelief and then to a chilling clarity. There was more, a photo attached, intimate and unmistakable, showing Olivia and Stephen entwined in a hotel room, the kind of evidence no one ever hopes to find. The timestamp placed the moment just hours before Nathan's bachelor party, shattering the illusion of trust he'd held so dearly. Nathan sat frozen, the room closing in. But beneath the shock, his mind sharpened. Years spent troubleshooting complex projects had trained him to remain composed under pressure. He knew the importance of evidence. He took out his laptop and began systematically saving screenshots, capturing metadata, and securing every detail. He called Lauren Mitchell, his trusted attorney, at 2 a.m. The phone rang thrice before a calm, steady voice answered. Nathan explained everything, each word weighed with the gravity of betrayal. Lauren listened without interruption, then advised him to stay silent for now and prepare for what would come with precision and strength. She promised to be at the wedding, ready to offer legal and moral support. Nathan barely slept that night. The dawn brought no relief, only a steely resolve. He dressed meticulously in his tailored tuxedo, each movement precise. His reflection in the mirror showed not the man devastated by betrayal, but a man determined to face the truth. At St. Mark's Cathedral, guests arrived unaware of the impending revelation. Margaret's warm smile and Stephen's confident handshakes masked the storm brewing beneath. Olivia glided through the crowd in her white gown. Her smile practiced, her eyes bright with anticipation. Nathan took his place at the altar, his best man Aaron's reassuring nod, a small comfort in the sea of emotions. Then, with a quiet signal, Emily Turner, the wedding coordinator, began distributing small, elegant cards, embossed with a discreet QR code. Guests curious scanned them. Moments later, screens lit up with a website. Nathan had created a clean, unadorned presentation of the undeniable proof of Olivia and Stephen's betrayal. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Olivia's composure shattered. Tears streamed down her face. Stephen's face drained of color as whispers turned to murmurs of disbelief. Margaret's expression twisted with heartbreak and fury. Nathan stepped forward, microphone in hand, his voice calm but resolute. "I trusted you both," he said, eyes locked on Olivia. "But trust was a lie you shared in secret. Olivia, I loved you with everything I had, and Dad, I looked up to you as a man of integrity. You taught me the value of truth. Today that truth stands broken." Silence fell heavy and charged as Nathan's words hung in the air. The wedding was over. Outside, the world waited with bated breath for the fallout, unaware that this moment was just the beginning of Nathan's journey from devastation to redemption. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Have you ever faced a moment when the people you trusted most betrayed you? How did you handle it? Would you confront them publicly or deal with it in private? Share your thoughts below. Your story might help someone else find courage. The cathedral's ornate doors had barely closed behind Nathan when the first tremors of fallout began to ripple outward. The guests, still grappling with the shock, spilled into hushed conversations as the digital evidence continued to spread from hand to hand, screen to screen. The quiet reverence of what was supposed to be a joyous celebration was replaced by whispers heavy with disbelief, anger, and betrayal. Outside news crews who had caught wind of the dramatic interruption arrived in force. The scandal that had unfolded inside St. Mark's Cathedral was no longer a private heartbreak, it was a public spectacle. Hashtags like "Cunard Betrayal" at the altar and "Portland Wedding Scandal" lit up social media platforms, spreading Nathan's truth to millions across the country and beyond. Photos of the incriminating website, screenshots of the messages, and videos of the confrontation circulated wildly, eliciting a storm of reactions, some sympathetic, others salacious. Nathan's phone didn't stop buzzing. Messages flooded in, words of support from close friends, cold stares from acquaintances, and biting remarks from strangers. But through it all, he kept his composure. He was no longer just a man betrayed, he was a symbol of resilience, a man unwilling to let deceit define him. The next few days were a whirlwind of consequences. Olivia, once admired in Portland's marketing circles, found herself blacklisted, her agency severing ties to protect its own reputation. The whispers about her double life turned into headlines, tarnishing her professional standing beyond repair. Stephen's fall was even more devastating. Once a respected titan of Portland's real estate market, he faced the swift collapse of decades of hard-earned credibility. Longtime clients pulled out their contracts, and colleagues who once toasted his successes now distanced themselves, their whispers echoing through boardrooms and barbershops alike. The man who had been Nathan's hero was now the subject of scorn and disbelief. At home, the fracture was most acute. Margaret, always the pillar of quiet strength, filed for divorce with a calm that startled those around her. She no longer sought to mend what had been broken beyond repair, but to reclaim peace and dignity for herself and Nathan. Her support for her son never wavered. She became his fiercest advocate amid the chaos. For Nathan, the days blurred between navigating legal battles, managing public scrutiny, and confronting the abyss of his own grief. Yet amid the ruins, a quiet determination grew. He knew that to heal, he had to leave the past behind, but he also knew that meant more than just changing his address. A new opportunity emerged in Denver, Colorado, a city buzzing with innovation and opportunity. The role was challenging and prestigious senior project manager for an emerging tech firm specializing in AI. It promised a fresh start far from the shadows of Portland's betrayal. Packing his life into boxes, Nathan said goodbye to Margaret with a long embrace filled with unspoken words and the silent promise to heal. He left behind his Nob Hill condo, the echo of laughter now just a memory in its walls. Denver welcomed him with open arms and crisp mountain air. Settling into an apartment in the lively Lodo district, Nathan found solace in routine early morning runs through City Park evenings reading by the window, and weekends spent wandering the art galleries and coffee shops. But the true balm came unexpectedly. At a local design expo, Nathan met Grace Coleman, an industrial designer whose calm demeanor and thoughtful conversation cut through his guarded exterior. Their friendship grew slowly, built on shared silences and easy laughter, rather than rushed confessions or grand gestures. Through Grace, Nathan rediscovered the simple joy of connection unburdened by the past. He began to write letters, never sent thoughts and reflections, poured onto pages, a diary of healing. In these writings, he confronted the pain and betrayal, but also charted the way forward. Meanwhile, his relationship with Stephen remained fractured and distant. Weeks after the scandal, Stephen reached out timidly, his messages tinged with regret and a desperate hope for reconciliation. Nathan resisted at first, wary of reopening wounds that still bled. Then one rainy afternoon, Stephen appeared at Nathan's door. His once commanding presence was diminished, hair disheveled, eyes hollow with remorse. No excuses, no demands, just a raw apology. Looking into his father's eyes, Nathan felt a complex wave of emotions. Hurt and anger, yes, but also unexpected compassion. "I forgive you," Nathan said quietly, "not because you deserve it, but because I need to free myself from carrying this pain." The embrace that followed was tentative but genuine, two broken men seeking a fragile path toward understanding. The months that followed were marked not by the restoration of what had been, but by the creation of something new. Nathan's scars remained visible, but they no longer defined him. He chose to live with integrity, courage, and openness. His story, once a source of shame and heartache, became a beacon for others navigating their own betrayals. He spoke at community events about resilience and forgiveness, reminding people that while pain is inevitable, so too is the capacity to rise. One crisp autumn evening, standing on the balcony of his Denver apartment overlooking the city lights and distant Rockies, Nathan reflected on how far he'd come. He realized that the greatest betrayal had been the breaking of trust, but the greatest triumph was reclaiming his life on his own terms. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after a devastating betrayal? What gave you the strength to keep moving forward? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might be the light someone else needs today. Nathan's journey toward healing was far from linear. The echoes of betrayal still lingered, but over time they softened from sharp pangs to distant reminders of resilience. Denver became not just a new city, but a sanctuary where he could rebuild himself piece by piece. His mornings were now rituals of calm, jogging through City Park as the sun rose, the crisp mountain air filling his lungs and clearing his mind. At night, he immersed himself in books that opened new worlds and philosophies, broadening his understanding of pain, forgiveness, and human strength. Grace remained a steady presence, not a romantic flame, but a genuine friend who listened without judgment and offered support with quiet wisdom. Their conversations meandered from art to life's mysteries, providing Nathan with a refuge he hadn't realized he needed. Despite the distance and new beginnings, Nathan did not sever ties with his past entirely. His mother Margaret kept him anchored with regular calls, sharing news of her own healing journey and reminding him of the family strength that survived the storm. She told him, Nathan, sometimes the deepest love is knowing when to let go and when to hold on. With each passing day, Nathan grew into a man who measured his worth not by past betrayals, but by his capacity to forgive, to learn, and to embrace hope. His scars, both visible and invisible, became badges of courage. One afternoon, Stephen came to Denver. The years and regrets had aged him beyond his years. They met quietly at a cafe overlooking the cityscape. There were no grand declarations, just two men acknowledging their shared pain in tentative steps toward reconciliation. Nathan's forgiveness wasn't about forgetting or excusing. It was about freeing himself from the chains of bitterness and choosing a path of peace. Meanwhile, Olivia faded from Nathan's life completely, her attempts at contact unanswered, her name slowly erased from his world. The woman who had once been his future became a chapter closed, a painful lesson learned. Nathan began volunteering at local support groups, sharing his story not for sympathy, but to help others find light in their darkest hours. His voice, once silenced by heartbreak, became a source of inspiration. In the quiet moments, Nathan wrote letters to his younger self, to his father, to the boy who had once dreamed of perfect trust. Through words, he healed wounds that actions alone couldn't reach. On a crisp autumn evening, standing on the balcony of his Denver apartment, Nathan looked out over the glowing city. The Rockies loomed in the distance, silent sentinels to a man transformed.